When you stop reacting, you cut off their oxygen. Narcissists don't just crave attention, they devour it like emotional parasites, draining your energy, warping your words, and grinning as you unravel. But what happens when they encounter someone who refuses to feed them a single crumb? Here's the brutal truth. Studies reveal that narcissists suffer measurable psychological collapse when denied control. Identity fractures, emotional volatility, a full-blown ego famine. And who's the natural predator that triggers this implosion without lifting a finger? The Sigma male. Still, strategic, untouchable, no debates, no justifications, no participation in their circus. And that is what shatters them. Today, we dissect how Sigma males systematically starve narcissists into oblivion. No theatrics, no vengeance, just lethal, ice-cold precision. This isn't retreating. It's erasing yourself from their game entirely. Get comfortable. This isn't a battle, it's a masterclass in silent annihilation. And the result? Poetic. Number 1, they don't feed on the expected, they starve them with stillness. Narcissists are like emotional codebreakers. They study your every reaction, every facial twitch, every raised eyebrow. They don't argue because they want truth, they argue to map out your emotional blueprint. Once they know what gets under your skin, they file it away like a weapon for later. But Sigma males? They leave them with absolutely nothing. No reaction. No breakdown. Not even a sarcastic smirk. Just silence. Pure, surgical stillness. It's not that Sigma males don't feel anything, they do. But they've mastered the art of not feeding the beast. Narcissists bait people with outrageous behavior to trigger predictable reactions, rage, tears, explanations, pleas. Those reactions? That's their supply. That's their meal. But the Sigma male operates like a locked vault. You can knock, yell, provoke, insult, cry, he won't flinch. Not because he's numb. Because he knows the moment he reacts, he's been captured. This isn't passive-aggressive silence, either. It's a stillness so steady it becomes a mirror. And that terrifies narcissists, because suddenly, there's nothing to bounce off, nothing to manipulate, no leverage to twist. They're left sitting in a void of their own chaos. And that void reflects something they can't tolerate, themselves. Sigma males don't give narcissists anything they can chew on, no emotional outburst to analyze, no confusion to exploit. Just still, eerie calm. And that's when the narcissist begins to spiral. Because the playbook doesn't work. The traps don't spring. They throw emotional grenades and watch them fizzle out in the Sigma's silence. The irony? Narcissists call them cold, unfeeling, detached. But that's projection. What they're really saying is, you didn't give me the attention I expected. The Sigma male stillness isn't emotional laziness, it's emotional discipline. It's a refusal to be drawn into chaos just to soothe someone else's ego. That silence becomes the loudest no the narcissist has ever heard. It's not revenge. It's not punishment. It's just a locked door. And the narcissist is banging on it with nothing but their own echo coming back. That echo drives them mad. Number 2, they don't fear abandonment, they initiate it. Narcissists operate like emotional hackers. They build their entire strategy around one idea: you're too afraid to be left alone. That fear of abandonment? That's their favorite weapon. It's what keeps people running back to them, begging for closure, trying to fix what they didn't break. They want you to need them more than they ever intended to need you. But here's where it gets brutal for them. Sigma males don't fear being left. In fact, they're the ones who initiate the exit, not dramatically, not with chaos. They just vanish. Quietly, calmly, and completely. A narcissist tries to pull the same emotional strings on a Sigma male, thinking the game will play out like it always does. But what they run into is a guy who doesn't flinch. When the connection starts cracking, Sigma males have a psychological eject button, and no hesitation using it. There's no warning. No emotional plea. No long, exhausting breakup talk. The moment the energy turns toxic or manipulative, it's over. Not out of anger, out of clarity. And this hits the narcissist where it hurts most. Because they need the last word. They want the dramatic goodbye, the chase, the closure they can manipulate to their advantage. But Sigmas don't stick around to explain why they're done. They don't give the narcissist the gift of a grand finale. Just distance. Pure, cold, unbothered distance. It's like being blocked in real life, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And for someone who thrives off control, being shut out without a single ounce of drama is worse than being yelled at. It's personal annihilation. The narcissist eventually figures out that they were never as powerful as they thought, because all their tactics, guilt trips, silent treatment, love bombing, gaslighting, mean absolutely nothing to a Sigma male who simply doesn't care to play the game. He's not running. He's not hiding. He just doesn't need them. And that's what destroys them. The Sigma male doesn't just walk away. He closes the gate, erases the trail, and locks up the part of himself the narcissist thought they had access to. And because the narcissist never saw it coming, that silence becomes the loudest rejection they've ever experienced. No closure. No comeback. No control. Just total, unapologetic disappearance. Number 3, they never play the rescue me game. Narcissists are masters of strategic vulnerability. They'll dangle a sob story just long enough to reel in someone who's wired to care, someone who wants to help, to heal, to fix. But here's where things go sideways for them. Sigma males don't fall for the trap. They're not cold, but they're unshakably discerning. And when a narcissist comes in with that "save me from myself" performance, the Sigma male doesn't lean in. He leans out. Narcissists test people by showing selective pain, not real pain, the performative kind. The "I'm so misunderstood" or "everyone leaves me" or "I've never felt loved" routine. And sure, to most people, it looks like raw vulnerability. But Sigma males have an internal radar that's nearly impossible to trick. They don't just hear the words, they study patterns. And what they see is emotional bait wrapped in theatrics. So while most people rush in with empathy and reassurance, the Sigma male clocks the manipulation, and mentally plans his exit route. The narcissist tries harder. Gets more tragic. More dramatic. More emotionally naked. They're trying to hook the Sigma's compassion. But the Sigma doesn't chase broken birds. He knows that if someone is truly healing, they're not weaponizing their wounds. And the moment it starts feeling like a trap disguised as trauma, he disconnects. He's not here to be someone's emotional rehab center. He'll listen, but he won't subscribe. And here's the brutal truth, this non-responsiveness makes the narcissist spiral even more. Because the whole point of their sob story was to pull someone in deep enough to control them later. They want to be rescued so they can later flip the script and become the puppet master. But when the Sigma male doesn't play therapist, savior, or knight in shining armor, the game dies on the spot. There's no hook to keep him attached. No guilt to exploit. No sympathy to hijack. He doesn't shame them. He doesn't argue. He simply doesn't engage. He recognizes that real wounds don't come with rehearsed speeches. So while the narcissist is performing pain, the Sigma male is already at the emotional door, calmly closing it behind him. Number 4, they don't compete, so there's nothing to win. Narcissists are addicted to comparison. Their entire sense of identity is built on being better than someone, smarter, more successful, more admired. But here's the twist, that only works if the other person is playing the same game. Enter the Sigma male, a man who refuses to compete. He's not chasing status. He's not showing off. And he couldn't care less who's ahead on some imaginary scoreboard. And that right there? That's what breaks the narcissist. When a narcissist walks into the room, they immediately scan for who they need to outshine. They size people up like opponents. But with Sigma males, there's nothing to outshine. No performative energy. No need for validation. No interest in climbing any social ladder. It's like trying to beat someone at a race they never entered. The narcissist starts flexing, name-dropping, bragging, and the Sigma responds with a nod. Or complete silence. No envy. No challenge. No insecurity. Just an unbothered presence that says, do whatever you need to feel important. That indifference is kryptonite to a narcissist. Because they don't just want to win, they want someone to lose. But Sigma males won't take the bait. They're not insecure enough to be threatened, and not arrogant enough to care. That makes them immune. And worse, boring to the narcissist's ego. There's no drama. No fight. No reaction. Just a man who's grounded enough to see the game for what it is, childish, insecure, and frankly beneath him. And here's where it hits even harder, the Sigma's lack of competition isn't weakness, it's dominance in its most subtle form. It says, I don't need to prove anything to anyone. That level of self-possession is rare. And it exposes the narcissist's endless need for external validation. While they desperately chase applause, the Sigma male's quiet self-worth becomes a mirror, showing them how empty their performance really is. Without an opponent, the narcissist has no stage. No play to act out. No enemy to conquer. And just like a villain with no hero, they crumble. Lost in a game no one agreed to play. Number 5, they are undisruptible islands. Narcissists are emotional arsonists. They don't just want to create chaos, they want it to spread. They need it to infect. They plant seeds of doubt, stir jealousy, ignite insecurity, and then sit back to watch the emotional fire consume everything and everyone in reach. That's how they maintain power, by making sure no one around them is stable enough to challenge them. But then they meet a Sigma male. And that's when everything short-circuits. Sigma males are built differently. They don't attach their identity to social groups, emotional dynamics, or other people's chaos. They don't rely on validation from lovers, friends, or family. They're emotionally self-contained. They don't just live off the grid physically, they live off the grid psychologically. Their calm doesn't waver when someone else throws a tantrum. Their boundaries don't collapse just because someone's crying louder or threatening harder. They're islands, intact, steady, and completely undisturbed by storms that would sink others. And narcissists hate that. Because they can't infect what they can't touch. They try to twist reality, guilt trip, provoke, sabotage, but the Sigma doesn't react. Doesn't spiral. Doesn't crumble. There's no leverage. No crack in the armor. The chaos hits the Sigma, and it just stops. Like trying to set fire to stone. Even worse for the narcissist? The Sigma's composure exposes their own instability. Every manipulative move bounces off uselessly, and it drives them mad. They can't get the Sigma to chase, to explain, to break down, to play along. And without that reaction, they can't validate their control. Narcissists need feedback. They need their poison to spread. But when it hits a Sigma male, it doesn't just fail. It backfires. Because the Sigma's refusal to get pulled in highlights exactly how manipulative and messy the narcissist really is. There's no high for the narcissist when the chaos doesn't ripple. No win. No control. Just frustration and failure. And for someone addicted to being the center of emotional gravity, finding out someone exists completely outside their orbit is soul-crushing. The Sigma male isn't resisting the narcissist. He's just not connected to the system they're trying to control. He's untouchable, unreachable, and unimpressed. An island with no bridges. Number 6, they walk away mid-control cycle, right at the peak. Narcissists build their control in phases: idealize, devalue, discard, repeat. They love the emotional roller coaster because it keeps you hooked and off balance. But Sigma males are wired completely differently. They don't wait for the train wreck. They exit before the derailment. Just when the narcissist thinks they've fully hooked the Sigma, just when the emotional high, or the psychological pressure, is about to climax, the Sigma walks away. Quietly. Casually. No explosion. No drama. No warning. Just gone. This mid-cycle exit is devastating for narcissists, because they're obsessed with completion. Their power trip depends on finishing the cycle. They want to push you to the edge, break you down, then swoop in with just enough affection to reset the manipulation. That return to fake affection? That's where they feed. It's their proof that they still own your emotional thermostat. But the Sigma male denies them that high. He leaves at the moment the narcissist is most confident in their control. He lets them think the manipulation is working, and then ghosts like he was never there. To the narcissist, this feels like psychic whiplash. 1 minute, they're running the show. The next, the Sigma's silence hits like a black hole. There's no closure. No begging. No fallout they can exploit. Just the terrifying realization that they never had control to begin with. And the worst part? Sigma males don't just walk away. They disappear with their dignity intact. There's no messy aftermath for the narcissist to feed on. No apology. No reaction. Nothing. This disruption of the cycle sends narcissists into emotional withdrawal, because they never got to play God. They were robbed of the moment they thought would define their dominance. And that's the one thing they can't stand, being denied their finale. The Sigma doesn't just exit the stage. He burns the script, locks the theater, and walks off like the story was never about the narcissist to begin with. That kind of disruption isn't just defiance. It's total annihilation of the narcissist's illusion of power. Number 7, they don't take the bait, even when it's delicious. Narcissists are masters at packaging poison as gold. They'll flood you with praise, affection, gifts, promises of forever, all custom-built to overwhelm your defenses. Most people eat it up, because it feels sincere. It's intense. It's flattering. It makes you feel chosen. But to a Sigma male? All that sparkle triggers suspicion, not attraction. He doesn't chase validation, so he isn't blinded by it when it's served on a silver platter. He reads between the lines, not just the words. And he knows love bombing isn't love. It's bait. The Sigma male watches the performance without getting pulled into it. He sees the way the praise is exaggerated. How the timing is too convenient. How the emotional intimacy seems fast-tracked for control rather than connection. He doesn't get high on attention, so there's no dopamine hook to reel him in. And when the narcissist turns up the heat, fake apologies, grand gestures, sob stories, declarations of change, he doesn't melt. He evaluates. And most times? He's already halfway out the door. What really drives the narcissist crazy is that the Sigma male doesn't even react. He doesn't argue. Doesn't take the bait and spit it back. He just doesn't bite. And when someone is using manipulation as currency, rejection feels like bankruptcy. The narcissist expects their tricks to work. They've rehearsed them, polished them, used them successfully 100 times. But the Sigma male isn't interested in shiny traps. He values authenticity too much to fall for theatrics. And he's comfortable enough being alone that he doesn't need to tolerate emotional bribery just to stay in someone's good graces. By not responding, the Sigma male flips the script. He makes the bait useless, powerless. He lets the narcissist spiral, trying to up the ante, more gifts, more compliments, more confessions. And still gives them nothing. No chase. No interest. No weakness to exploit. Eventually, the narcissist is left with their hands full of glittering manipulation, and no one willing to touch it. That's the fatal blow. Because narcissists aren't just trying to hook you, they're trying to own you. But the Sigma male doesn't want what's flashy if it's fake. He's immune to drama dressed as devotion. And when the bait goes untouched, it's the narcissist who ends up starved, chewing on their own tactics, with no one left to devour. Number 8, they see the manipulation too early. Sigma males don't wait for the mask to slip. They spot the seams. While most people get drawn into the narcissist's charm, and only realize the trap once they're deep inside, Sigma males catch the manipulation before it even kicks off. It's not magic. It's observation. They pick up on the microscopic cues. The overcurated sob story. The inconsistent praise. The compliments that come with subtle hooks. The fake vulnerability that feels just a little too timed. While others are still clapping at the narcissist's genuine act, the Sigma male is already side-eyeing the script. Narcissists are used to people falling for the initial bait, flattery, flirty intensity, faux empathy. But Sigma males don't crave connection in the same way. They don't need someone to tell them they're special. They don't need approval to feel whole. That independence is the ultimate immunity. They're not flattered by attention, they analyze why they're getting it. And when they sense something's off, when someone is being a little too eager, too polished, too emotionally invasive too soon, they don't rationalize it. They trust their gut. And start pulling away before the manipulation has time to take root. The narcissist usually builds control slowly, grooming people with calculated kindness before the devaluation begins. But the Sigma male doesn't give them the space or time to start the cycle. He sees the breadcrumbs of control from a mile away, and walks in the opposite direction before the narcissist can even finish building their web. And that's what stings the narcissist the most. They didn't even get the chance to perform. Worse, they're ignored in the most infuriating way. Not confronted. Not exposed. Just quietly dismissed. And that dismissal cuts deeper than any argument, because it tells the narcissist, you weren't convincing enough to even be a threat. That early detection and silent exit is Sigma-level surgical. The narcissist is still gearing up for manipulation, while the Sigma is already mentally relocated to a cleaner psychological zip code. There's no fallout. No second chance. No stage left to stand on. By the time the narcissist realizes they've lost control, they never even had it to begin with. Number 9, they let the narcissist talk and self-destruct. Narcissists thrive on controlling the conversation. They need to dominate every word, twist every story, and drown out any opposition. Their ego is like a ticking bomb, demanding constant fuel, attention, reactions, admiration. But the Sigma male flips the script entirely, by doing something most people can't handle. He just listens. Not the polite, nodding kind of listening, but a deep, unnervingly calm kind of silence that feels like a void sucking in all the noise. The narcissist starts spinning their tales, laying out their grand versions of reality, trying to bait reactions, trying to trap the Sigma in a debate or an emotional tug-of-war. But the Sigma doesn't interrupt, doesn't challenge, doesn't flinch. He just stays still, quiet, unshaken. That stillness is a pressure cooker for the narcissist, because it deprives them of their usual fuel, chaos and control. With no opposition and no applause, the narcissist keeps talking. Longer, louder, more frantic. They start to slip up, repeating the same excuses, exposing their lies in tangled contradictions, spilling insecurities they desperately try to bury. The more they talk, the more their carefully constructed facade crumbles. They become their own worst enemy, unraveling in real time, handing over the rope with every word. This isn't passive weakness from the Sigma male. It's a strategic, almost surgical, patience. By refusing to engage in the usual battle of words, the Sigma lets the narcissist drown in their own storm. The narcissist's need to dominate conversation becomes a weapon turned against them. Their ego can't bear the silence, so they overcompensate, revealing everything they hope to hide. And when the narcissist finally runs out of steam, exposed and defeated by their own mouth, the Sigma just steps away. Unaffected. Unbothered. No drama. No victory lap. Just quiet strength. Because sometimes, the most brutal way to starve a narcissist is to let them feed themselves to death with their own words. Number 10, they refuse to be a mirror. Narcissists live for mirrors. People who reflect back their grandiosity, their perfect image, their carefully crafted version of reality. They don't just want validation, they demand it. They crave a reflection that's polished, flattering, and unquestioning. When someone becomes their mirror, they feel powerful, in control, untouchable. But Sigma males? They break that whole game. Instead of mirroring, Sigma males act like glass, clear, cold, and brutally honest. They don't reflect the narcissist's inflated image. They show them exactly what they look like, flaws and all, without sugarcoating or bending to ego. And that reflection is unbearable for narcissists. Because it's not the fantasy they live inside. It's raw reality staring back at them with unblinking eyes. There's no distortion. No glossy filter. No ego stroke. Just the naked truth. This refusal to participate in the narcissist's delusion undermines their entire power structure. Narcissists feed on admiration and carefully constructed illusions. When the Sigma male won't hold up the mirror they want, the narcissist feels exposed. Vulnerable. Furious. It's like ripping the script out of a leading actor's hands mid-performance. Suddenly, there's no control. No applause. Just awkward silence. Because the Sigma male's reflection doesn't coddle or enable. It forces narcissists to confront parts of themselves they usually bury under layers of arrogance and manipulation. And narcissists hate that. They can't stand seeing the cracks they spend so much energy hiding. So instead of lashing out directly, they might try to gaslight, belittle, or avoid the Sigma male altogether. But nothing can change the fact that the Sigma refuses to be a mirror of lies. In essence, the Sigma male's honesty becomes a weapon of mass disruption against narcissists. By denying them their golden reflection, he starves their ego of its fuel. The narcissist is left scrambling for validation elsewhere, desperately trying to find a softer, more pliable mirror. Someone willing to uphold their illusion. But the Sigma? He's glass. Transparent. Unyielding. And impossible to manipulate. And that kills a narcissist's power faster than any argument or confrontation ever could. Final thought, the ultimate punishment for a narcissist isn't hate, it's irrelevance. Sigma males don't fight fire with fire. They drain the oxygen. No rage. No revenge. Just silence, clarity, and unshakable boundaries. While the world is busy reacting to narcissists, feeding them attention, justifying their behavior, or falling into their traps, Sigma males do the one thing narcissists cannot survive. They make them invisible. Every move a Sigma male makes is a quiet rebellion against manipulation. He doesn't entertain. He doesn't explain. He doesn't leave cracks for comebacks or rehearse dramatic exits. He just disappears from the narcissist script. And without a character to manipulate, the entire production collapses. The beauty of how Sigma males starve narcissists isn't in what they do. It's in what they refuse to do. No performances. No power struggles. Just truth, distance, and the kind of self-control that turns narcissists into ghosts screaming into a void. In the end, it's not about winning. Sigma males don't need a trophy. They don't play to prove anything. They starve narcissists by being immune to their currency. And that right there is the slow death narcissists never see coming. If this hit harder than a narcissist's ego on mute, then do the smart thing. Like this video to show some love. Drop a comment if you've ever dealt with one of these chaos machines. Share it with someone who needs to see how real power actually looks. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Because around here, we don't sugarcoat truth. We serve it straight, with a side of strategy. Tap that bell too, so you never miss when the next dose of Sigma-level insight drops. Stay sharp. Stay silent. And as always, move like a ghost in a world full of noise.